YouTube, what's going on? Money Shift here, and we are back with another automotive take. And this is one that I also have not seen anywhere on the internet, and it kind of blows my mind. But I'm going to tell you in this video why Ford is taking a page right out of Porsche's book with the Ford Mustang. No, I'm not talking about converting the Mustang into some rear-engine turbocharged beast. I'm talking about how Ford approaches the entire Mustang lineup is very similar to what Porsche has been doing for decades with the 911. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now we start on the base model. This is the entry point into the car, the way that, for the least amount of money, you can get into a machine that resembles pretty much the entire lineup, offers good levels of performance, a good interior, and a car that you can rent from your local Hertz. Well, that's true of both the Mustang and the 911. For right around $30,000 and just over $100,000, you can get into a car that looks like pretty much every model from the entire lineup. Now, us car folks, us enthusiasts, we know the difference between a GT3 RS and a base 911. We'll be able to tell the difference from a GTD and a regular base Mustang. But the fact is still true. That base Mustang with that four-cylinder turbocharged engine, that's more than capable. The base model Mustang and the base model 911 provide an affordable, accessible way into the Mustang and 911 universe. They're easy ways to get your feet wet in the brand. I said feet, but went like this, but work with me here. It's very similar approach. They're affordable, they're accessible, and they're commonly found. A lot of the 911s that you see are the base model, and a lot of the Ford Mustangs that you see are the four-cylinder turbo models. Whether it's the convertibles or coupes for both models, the fact of the matter is true. The majority of sales lie in this lower bracket. But then we take it up a step. Ford, on their Mustang side, has the Mustang GT. This is the V8 that gives you over 400 horsepower, is available in manual or 10-speed automatic. You can get the track pack with the Brembos, the Magna Ride, the big wheels, the whole nine. And you can do the same with a Porsche 911. You can get the 911S. You can get the 911 4S. These are cars that have arguably almost the exact same look to the base 911, but they give you more power, they give you more capability, and they give you subtle exterior tweaks that let you know the car you're buying is a little more serious than that base model. But it starts to get even closer of a parallel when you get to the Dark Horse. The Dark Horse is the next level in the Mustang family. We go from the base four-cylinder turbo to the entry-level V8 GT to the Dark Horse, which is that same V8 engine with a manual or automatic transmission, and it is designed for spirited driving. That can mean track use, that can mean back roads, but the fact of the matter is, the aspirations of the Dark Horse are much like the aspirations of the 911 GT3. A car you can take on track, a car that you can have a spirited drive in, and a car that for base model 911 owners is aspirational, much like for base or even GT Mustang owners. That Dark Horse is a car you're shooting for. The ethos of those two vehicles is the same, but the parallels get even closer when we look at the Halo cars. Ford recently announced the Mustang GTD, and this is the Mac Daddy of all Ford Mustangs in history. It promises to be royally insane, over $300,000, tons of aero, tons of power, tons of suspension. Oh, wouldn't you know it, I could use that exact same description for the 911 GT3 RS. Tons of power, tons of aero, tons of performance, and for the base model Mustang owner, it's the peak. Just like the base model Porsche owner, it's the peak? Are you starting to see this sort of alignment between these two cars? I'm not saying they're competitors. A person buying a base Mustang isn't the same person buying a base 911, as much as maybe a person buying a GTD is the same as a GT3 RS. But the fact of the matter is, these are different customers, but the ethos behind the cars and the product lineups is looking more similar than ever, and it gets even closer when we look to the future. One of the rumors, one of the concepts, one of the floating theories in the Ford Mustang space is that we're going to be getting a Mustang Raptor. This is very similar to Porsche's approach with the Dakar. A lift, good suspension, all road capable tires. It's the exact same, but for under $100,000. They're literally taking the 911 brand playbook and adapting it to the Ford Mustang. And if there is any other brand of car that could do that, it's the Ford Mustang. It holds so much weight in the minds of so many different individuals that you can get away with a price difference of $260,000 from the base model to the top of the line. Just like for the Porsche, the price difference between a base model and the top of the line is like 200 grand. The price difference is immense. So overall, what are we looking at? What is Porsche doing that Ford is adopting? They're providing a base model aspirational vehicle, an entry into the lineup that is cheap relative for the consumer. You can get a 911 for 100 grand. You can have that 911 name in your driveway for $100,000. Now that might be 2x the price of a new vehicle, but the fact of the matter is, in the grand scheme of the 911 lineup, that's pretty cheap. Just like you can have a Mustang in your driveway for 34 grand. That looks pretty similar to the untrained eye to a GT. That looks pretty similar to the untrained eye to a dark horse. And then you go further, they have the GT, much like the S and the GTS lineup. They have the dark horse, much like the GT3. They have the GTD, much like the RS. They have these vectors to step you up along the same product lineup that provide a lot of tools, a lot of power, a lot of technology that make that jump meaningful. No one is questioning a dark horse over a base model Mustang, just like no one is questioning a GT3 over a base model Mustang. No one looks at a GTD Mustang and says, why is that car more than a base model? Just like no one looks at a GT3 RS and says, why is that 911 more than a base model? I really do praise Ford for this approach. They're understanding that the Mustang name holds a lot of weight and the capability behind it is tremendous. Porsche has shown us that you can be successful with a very diverse product lineup that's attached to one moniker. There's the 911, the 911S, the 4, the 4S, the GTS, the Targa GTS, the Targa 4 GTS, the Turbo S, the GT3, the GT3 RS, and I know I'm forgetting some that literally was just off the top of the dome, and Ford is starting to do the same thing with the Mustang. You have the base model coupe and convertible, you have the GT, you have the GT Performance, you have the dark horse, you have the GTD, and we might in the future have a Raptor, and that's another Porsche I forgot about, the Dakar. So you're starting to see the parallels between the Ford Mustang lineup and the Porsche lineup. So massive kudos to Ford for doing this, because I think it's absolutely brilliant and it paves the way for some mega cool Ford Mustangs to come. Which models do you want to see Ford emulate from Porsche's 911 lineup in the Mustang? Do you think I'm off base? Does this sound ludicrous? Is it crazy that I'm aligning Porsche's strategy with the 911 in the Ford Mustang? Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and if you guys have stuck around till this point, let me know in the comments by calling me insane. I'll know if you say, hey, Money Shift, you're insane that you watched till this point in the video, and you're a real one for sure. And as always, if you like this content, if you like these takes, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay with us and be a part of the conversation for future topics just like this. And again, I do want this to be a conversation. If you guys have a point you want to bring up, maybe you think I'm right, maybe you think I'm wrong, maybe you just want to stretch something out further, leave a comment and I will do my best to respond as quickly and as informative as I possibly can. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm T, this is Money Shift. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.